Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hi everybody, this is Alex Bennett, and I've had a long and interesting trip. It's called life. And for years, people have demanded that I write a book about it, and while I've been a writer, my main talent has always been that of a broadcaster. Over a year ago, I decided not to write the book, but using my best skill, I decided to tell it. It's called Life in the Passing Lane, and I described it as an audio biography. It's presented in 30-minute chapters, so it's easy to binge listen. And you can access it on the GabNet page by clicking on Life in the Passing Lane and going to a page with every single episode, plus some extras. If you want to access it on your mobile device, that's easy too. It's on iTunes. It's Life in the Passing Lane, an audio biography by me. I'm Alex Bennett.
Spotify has 180 million monthly users and access to 35 million songs and podcasts. Now, all those offerings are going to have to move over and make room for GabNet programming. Yes, at long last, Alex Bennett's Ramble, Damian Chaplin's Exchange, Jack Bishop's The Intersection, and even the franchise MC's Arena and Michael Snyder's weekly movie reviews will be fighting for space on this massive platform. Each day, the programs are updated, so you can hear them on the Spotify app, available for all smartphones and game consoles. Or you can just go to Spotify on the web at spotify.com. So, give us a shot on Spotify. There's a 35 million to 5 chance we'll get people to listen to talk like they've never heard it before.
This is an Internet Network news break. IP Pingsley reporting. Our top story, the Great American Broadcast Network, otherwise known as GabNet, is now a TuneIn partner. TuneIn, the world's largest audio network, has joined forces with GabNet, the world's most innovative talk network. GabNet's partnership with TuneIn means that listeners now have 3 main ways to listen to GabNet programming: Gabnet.net, TuneIn.com, and the convenient TuneIn app for smartphones. To participate in the network's innovative citizen panels on GabNet programs, use Skype and type the handle GabNet Live, or call on your phone 347-352-0079. For more information on this network, its programs, and its hosts, log on to Gabnet.net. That's Gabnet.net. This has been an Internet Network news break.
GabNet needs you. Yes, GabNet needs you to call our live programs and be a part of the citizen panels. It's the most innovative talk format yet, because it's not just one caller, it's a group of callers interacting with the hosts at the same time. Here's how you do it. It's simple. First, download Skype at skype.com. To install it, answer 4 simple questions: first name, last name, email address, and your choice of ID. Then launch Skype, go to Add Contacts, type in GabNet Live, and ask to be made a contact. Then you're ready to be on the citizen panel. If you're too lazy, well, you can always call on the phone at 347-352-0079. That's 347-352-0079. For all the information and a call button for Skype, log on to Gabnet.net. At the bottom of the page, you'll find a video on how to call us and how to use GabNet. It couldn't be easier. It couldn't be more fun and exciting. We're new. We're different. But we need you to call. So for crying out loud, call, or we'll kill this dog. Don't worry, Fluffy. They won't let you die. I'm not kidding. Call or Fluffy gets it. Oopsie. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey! RamblingNetwork.com. Hi, everybody. It's Alex Bennett. It is the Ramble, and we go from now until midnight Eastern Time here on the the left. Is it the left coast? Wait a minute. It's the right coast of America. Okay, I got it straight. You got it straight. Okay. Well, you know, it's time as we do once a week. We love to check in with an old friend. Ladies and gentlemen, from lovely San Francisco, California, it's the music of Larry Bubbles Brown.
Heavily influenced by Phil Spitalny.
Yes, and his all-girl orchestra. You remember that?
Yes, you sent me that. Those videos were hilarious.
I always found it off-putting. You know, I mean, a female violinist, that looks wonderful. A female pianist, terrific. But a female playing a trombone. In fact, anybody playing a trombone, I suppose, has its problems. Yeah, for people who don't know what we're talking about, there was a guy by the name of Phil Spitalny, and he ran a thing called his all-girl orchestra. All-girl. They wouldn't even use the term girl today.
Right.
The all-girl orchestra, and it was an all-female orchestra, and featuring. Do you remember the featuring part?
No.
Evelyn and her magic violin. Now that was fine. I didn't mind a woman playing a violin. That seemed fine. But you know, a female drummer just never seemed right to me. I don't know why. I guess because I think of the drums as a very masculine instrument. You know, and I don't know of I don't know very many female drummers. You know, if females go for anything, they go for guitars. You know, stuff like that. But am I being a sexist rather?
Possibly, although let's see, I'm trying to think of female drummers would have been, there was a girl in the Go-Go's and
there were all-girl groups.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right, and she was a pretty good drummer, too.
I think she was a good one, yeah.
You know, but those all-girl groups didn't last very long, though. The Go-Go's were very short-lived. And I'm trying to think of what was the other one. There was one other. The
Bangles.
The Bangles. That was Walk Like an Egyptian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bangles. But they didn't. I think they had one hit and that was it, right?
Yeah, they were pretty good, but they didn't last long.
Well, they had one hit.
Maybe that was it.
Walk Like an Egyptian, which I thought was silly. Another silly concept, you know. But anyway, so anyway, we have I write you the day before we're going to do our little get-togethers to remind you, and you wrote me this time. Well, I'm not feeling well, but I'll do it anyway. What a trooper! Yes. What's wrong?
I'm a trooper.
What's wrong?
I've let's see, exactly a week ago I got the flu, so it's still coming out of it, but it was not a fun week. So.
The flu. Now wait a minute. Was it a flu or was it a cold?
I see. It was body aches and fever.
You had a fever and body aches. That would be the flu.
Yeah.
But people get a cold and they go, "I had the flu." And no, you have to. The things that make it a flu are a temperature and body aches. You know, so you definitely had the flu. Did you get your flu shot?
I did. I never do. So this is the first year
now,
it hit me.
Why do you never get it?
Once I got the shot and it made me feel pretty sick, so I don't really trust them.
No, I get it every year.
Really?
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
And you never have a reaction to it?
No, not really. I mean, maybe a day afterwards you feel a little, you know, but that's about it, you know, because they're giving you a little shot of the stuff, of the virus, but it shouldn't. It can affect you, but not like the flu itself.
And there's so many strains, though. Even getting a shot doesn't guarantee you're gonna.
Well, what they do is they take the three main strains that are coming out of Asia, and they then guard against those. And sometimes they're wrong. sometimes those are not the ones that headed this way, but they have to predict it ahead of time. Here's what I think is the solution to the flu, and I know a lot of people think this is a little extreme, but I'm gonna say it anyway. All flus come from where?
Asia, I think.
Yep, and where in Asia?
China.
Yeah, but I mean, besides a location, where? What kind?
They usually come from animals.
Animals, right. Animals get the flu, then they pass it on to the Asian. Now, it always comes from Asia. So isn't there a way we can kind of prevent the flu by just not letting Asians into the country? Or not allowing us to go to Asia?
That would help, yes.
That would help a great deal. Or kill all the farm animals in Asia. That would stop the flu.
That would stop it, yes.
Am I being a little severe on this suggestion?
Well, if you get the flu, it wouldn't sound severe at all.
I mean, Trump is always looking for horrible things to say about Asians and about, China especially. And if he made the case that, we get our flus from them, at least he would be on some solid ground, But instead it's...
back that.
Yeah, instead it's that, I don't like taking two from column B, So anyway. Remember when you went...
I remember when I was a kid, the first flu I ever heard of in the 60s was the swine flu. It was from China.
Yeah. Well, no, they all come from Asia. That's how they predict what they're going to put in the flu shot that's coming here, that we take here, is they look at Asia, they see what strains are there, they get samples of the strains, they put them into a vaccine, and then you get the vaccine. But that's how we do it. We don't go to Europe and say, what's the flu over here?
Yeah.
You never hear about the European flu, do you?
You're right.
Now, during World War II, what was the big thing? Was it a flu that was going around that was killing people like crazy? I'm trying to remember what it was exactly.
There was the 1918, the World War I, was the Spanish flu.
Spanish flu, okay.
Which killed 65 million people.
65 million people. Now, do you know that flu was so bad that they canceled the war for a while over it? Really? They canceled the war to take time out to get over the flu. I know that sounds silly, but it's true.
Well, yeah, that's an incredible number of people it killed. Jesus.
Yeah. How come I couldn't remember the Spanish flu? But now there was a flu that supposedly was not from Asia, but it might have started in Asia, and then it went to Spain or whatever, and then it was called the Spanish flu. But 65, I'm sure you're right on your statistic, as you always are.
Yeah, it was 65 million within a year, so that was good population control.
Yeah. And how many did the war kill? Probably far less.
Oh, yeah, less than 3 million.
Yeah. And we didn't lose many in that war, by the way, because...
We got in late.
We got in really late. We were there for the last maybe year and a half, 2 years of that war. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. And I think we were post-flu, not pre-flu.
So, again, another war that no one seems to know why it even started.
Yeah. So you just refused to get the flu shot because you had a negative reaction.
I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I'm not wearing the flu shot. And
yeah, I get it every year, and I have been pretty. I don't think I've gotten the flu in all the time that I've been taking it. So I guess it works. I mean, I've gotten bad colds, but that's not the flu. In fact, I'd rather get the flu and just be knocked out and lying in bed sleeping all day than getting a cold where I'm going around sniffling and coughing and hacking and wheezing. I hate colds. Flu.
Yeah,
Flu I can live with or die with, one or the other.
First night I went to bed at 1 in the morning, got up at 5 the next night. So
yeah. You know what happened to me? I got to tell you this. Years ago, when I was starting out in radio, and I was actually working in Klamath Falls, Oregon, I got to know a guy by the name of Ted Randall. He had been a disc jockey at KOBY, which was the first top 40 station in San Francisco. And he ran a broadcast consultancy. Now, I had never heard of radio consultants until that particular time. And what he would do is he would consult, say, our station in Klamath Falls, and he would send out the playlist every week, and he would send out the records to go with the playlist. So he was a complete service that way. And on top of that, he then also sent out what we call station imagers, which are like, the promos that say, this is KLAD, Klamath Falls, Oregon, playing the hits, blah, 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 whatever. And so I got to know him. I think I may have actually gotten the job in Klamath Falls because of him, because of having met up with him and asking him if he knew of any work. And when I went to Klamath Falls, he hired me to do these promos for all these stations. So I did all the production for those stations that he represented. And so years have passed now. I didn't even think about Ted Randall. I think I mentioned him when I was doing my life history. I mentioned that I had known Ted Randall and did these promos and so on for him. But basically, outside of that, I had forgotten all about him until a guy with the Bay Area Broadcast Hall of Fame sent a picture of him and put it up on my site of Ted Randall when he was a young man at KOBY in San Francisco, saying, here's the guy you're talking about, right? So I then looked him up. The guy is still alive.
Wow.
Now, he had to be, God, I mean, how old was I at the time? I hadn't gone into the military yet, so I had to be somewhere around 20, something like that. And let's say he was 30. Let's just say he was 30. Wow, he's like he's got to be in his late 80s, early 90s, and he's still alive. And that was great news for me because everybody I know is dying.
I know.
So here I got some news where this guy, who I assume was long gone, is still alive. He's living in Canada, which is kind of like not being alive at all, but he's living in Canada. And that kind of made me feel better about things.
Yeah.
So.
And how long did you work in Klamath Falls?
Oh, God, how long? Something, these things elude me now. They wouldn't elude you. You have every date you ever did anything on.
It must have been so cheap to live there.
Yeah, it was. Let me see. What year was that? I'm trying to remember. I went from KDOT in Reno, Nevada, which I think was. God, it had to have been like 19. Yeah, it was 19. And then when I came home, I looked for radio stations, and I finally found what I think probably through Ted Randall, this station in Oregon called KLAD. And so it had to be when I was either 19 or 20. So that's when I was working there. It was a radio station that operated out of a what can I call it? A lumber yard, a lumber state. How do I describe it? A lumber depot in the middle of a train station. Where all the trains come together, and they had this lumber office, which this radio station had taken over. And we put up the radio station there, and the transmitter was in the backyard, and we'd be doing a show, and as we're doing a show, a train would go rolling by, and they all knew we were a radio station, so they blew their horn. And what we would do, this is a great story. they would. It was in the middle of this. I don't know what you call railroad yard. Okay, so there were a lot of tracks going every which way, and trains going in and out of it. And I had to cross the railroad tracks to get to the radio station. And sometimes I would get to the tracks, and there was a train there, and it's not moving because obviously it's a train. It's a train yard, and it's waiting to maybe go in somewhere or whatever. So then I have to wait for the goddamn train to move before I can get to the radio station. Well, on one particular occasion, we got a pack of these records from Ted Randall, and we had a show that went on at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon that was called the New Music Show or something like that, or the new Top 10, and we had to have all the new records and so on. And I get to I went down to pick it up at the post office, and I come back, and there's a train right there. And I don't know what to do. I'm not going to climb. I'm not going to crawl under the train, right, to bring the records, because who knows if the train starts, I'm squashed like a fly. So one guy is on the other side going, we need the records, we need the records. So I am throwing them one at a time over the train so they can have the records on time to play them on the air.
Wow.
That was one of my great adventures in radio, was what do you call it? KLAD in Klamath Falls, Oregon. And then the other thing I remember about working there, and this is the moment in which I sit here to this day and go, God, what a missed opportunity. They had one room, and what they did is they took all the records that they got, both from Ted and just from the record companies, and they would just throw them into this room. And it was like this room full of like 45 records everywhere on the floor, piled high. And so when I had nothing to do, I would go into this room, and I would start looking to see if there was anything I wanted, because they were there for the taking, you know. So I would look through records. Oh yeah, new Pat Boone record. Okay, I'll keep that. Let's see, a new Fats Domino record. I'll keep that. And I remember, and my mind just, I can still to this day, after all these years, see this record in my hands. It was a Sun record, right, of Elvis Presley. And it was which record was it? I just had it in my mind, and then it flittered away. So I think Blue Moon of Kentucky was on one side, and on the other side was the bigger hit, and I was holding it in my hands, holding it in my hands, and I threw it over to the discard pile.
Wow.
If I had that record, do you know how much that record's worth today?
I'd like to know.
That Sun record. It's worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $25,000.
Wow.
And I remember seeing it right in my right in my face, right? And just threw it off to the side. This one, he wasn't even with RCA yet. He was still with Sun Records.
Yeah.
You know, and that record, I understand, is worth a fortune. But what was the main side on that? I forget now. I had it in my mind. I was about ready to say it, and then it flittered out of my head. So, well, that's the way my memory's going these days. Slowly, I won't even know who you are when I call you.
Well, that must have been very cool to be that young and working in radio.
Well, yeah. Also, I had to work in Klamath Falls, Oregon. Do you know where that is?
Yeah, that's in the middle of nowhere.
Well, no, it's not the middle of nowhere, but as somebody once said, you can see nowhere from there.
Yeah.
You know, so it's on the other side of the California border, north. You go up through California, through Dunsmuir, and sounds like that.
This is before I-5, probably.
Was there on I don't think there was an I-5 at that point. No. And then you go over what they call a high desert. It's a high-altitude desert. And then you drive and you drive and you drive, and finally you arrive in Klamath Falls, Oregon. And at that time, there were 20,000 people living in the town. Can you imagine a town of 20,000 people? I mean, that had most. If I say Klamath Falls, Oregon, everybody's heard of it.
Yeah.
You know, but you don't think of it as being a town of just 20,000 people. And it was a strange little town because in 1920, somebody decided that all these trees that were in the city were a blight on the community, and they cut them all down. So literally, it was this treeless city. It was just pathetic, just absolutely pathetic. But there was one good thing about Klamath Falls, Oregon, and most people. I saw some of the biggest acts in rock and roll. Excuse me, I'm getting a tissue here. In rock and roll, in that town, you're going to say, well, how come? I mean, why would they go to Klamath Falls, Oregon? Well, they didn't go to Klamath Falls, Oregon. What happened was, Klamath Falls, Oregon was about the halfway point between Portland and San Francisco. And so let's say you were, one of the guys I saw there was Fats Domino. Let's say you were Fats Domino and you were playing Portland or you're playing Seattle. And now you're going to go to, your next stop is San Francisco or Oakland or something like that. So that's like a 2-day drive. So in order to be efficient and to keep making money, you stop somewhere to do a gig. And so they would spend the night in Klamath Falls, Oregon, and do a gig there so they could make some extra money. So all the big acts came through and stopped there. And the way I learned all of that was my father told me that when he was a musician and the band was like traveling down the coast, they would play Klamath Falls because that was the halfway point.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So I saw people like Fats Domino. Remember, I think Rick Nelson was there. And a lot of different people would just stop and play this dumpy little town of 20,000 people. And, of course, they were very accepting of it because, you know, they had no other entertainment in their lives, you know, so.
How long were you there?
I was there. God, that eludes me as well. I think, God, I know it was under a year. It might have been 6 months.
Well, were you like a big celebrity?
Anybody who was on the radio was a big celebrity. Come on.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it wasn't a matter of being a big celebrity or anything. I was just learning my craft. And then I got a job in Modesto, California. From then after Modesto, I had to go into the military. So, you know, I thought that was going to kill my career. But it didn't because I went into Armed Forces Radio and Television in Hollywood. So.
That was cool. Yeah.
Anybody else want to know the complete history of my mediocre career? You know.
I want to hear the whole thing. Yeah.
Yes, it's come. Well, you can hear it. I did my whole life, you know, and it's online. At let's see here. You go to gabnet.net/abl.htm, and that will get you to a page with all my 57 episodes, half hour each.
Wow.
Of my entire life. And I have not done one since because nothing interesting has happened in my life since I did that a year and a half ago. So, you know, I have no real way to bring it to a smashing close. But, you know, working these small towns it taught me everything I need to know about broadcasting.
Sure.
Yeah, it really was a training ground for me. And ultimately, I wound up in Houston, Texas, working for a guy by the name of Gordon McClendon, and that was like a radio boot camp with him, with his company as kind of the drill sergeant. And what I learned about radio there, you know, I learned it out of fear. I didn't want to get fired, so I learned it. You know what I'm saying? So I had some great trainers. Hey, listen, we've run out of time. It just goes by when I do all the talking and don't really ask you what's happening with your life, which we'll do.
Well, you've always got something new and interesting. I'd love to hear it.
We'll do it again next week. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the legend, who is Larry Bubbles Brown.
This is GABNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
What was that all about? Oh, wait a minute. No, we don't need that. And we don't need that. We need this. There we go. Oh, I know what it was. I was over-modulating. And so you got that thing going for you. So I'm sorry about that. For some reason, this new board I've got does that. And I had the volume all the way up because it was low on that interview. So anyway, we're okay now, so what the hell. Let me see here. Let me bring up the Skype line because that's the way we talk to our citizen panel. And then let me turn it on so that people can then call me. All right. Notice we missed a call from SG. I wonder why. Well, who cares? Anyway, let me see, hide conversation. Okay, I got it all ready to go now. So anyway, let me see here. What was I going to say? I'm sorry about that bad sound there, but that was because I had the volume up too high. I see. These are all new things I have to learn with the new equipment. So I don't know why it does that, because I could overmodulate with the old board and not have any problems. But I'm very happy with this new one. It's just takes a whole bunch of work. Anyway, our lines are open all week and long. What I've been doing, and it's been an interesting learning curve, because I've been trying to figure out how, if I can't use this Skype any longer, if all of a sudden one day I turn it on and the horrible people over at Microsoft go, you can't use it anymore, what do I do? And I started doing a lot of studying on that. So all weekend long I've been studying that, and I've come up with all the answers I need on how to get the picture on, but I still can't figure out how you get a citizen panel together. In other words, if I have a group of people, if I want a group of people, and let's say I have 2 or 3 because I called them and it was easy, okay? Let me see here. Here comes Rob Alfano. That's for starters. I just can't figure out how the hell you get, like, if Rob just called and then another person calls, I just put add to contacts and they're added to the picture, they're added to the group, and I still can't figure out how you do that with the new Skype. There is just doesn't seem to be any easy way to do it. You know what I'm talking about, Rob?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know, though. I haven't played with Skype in such a long time.
Well, you know what I decided? Well, you use Skype for this, you know.
Well, yeah, but it's, yeah.
You see, now here comes Phil, and I push add to group, and there we go. It's that easy.
That's what I mean. You got to do more with it than we do.
Well, here's the thing that I suddenly realized with all my complaining about it, and it is a problem. It is a real problem. Was that I use Skype in probably the most unique way anybody uses it in America. Okay? I'm probably the only person that uses it in this exact manner and for this exact reason. And so that's the problem, you know. And I don't know what to do about it.
They don't care.
Oh, they don't care. They really don't. They have nary a care in the world. Excuse me, let me do something for 1 second. Let me just run out here. I have to just do something.
Hey, Mr. Rob.
What's going on?
Hey. Looks like he's going to the can. So.
You think?
Yeah.
I've had a case of IBS all day. I felt just then like I had to, like, run to the bathroom, and do whatever. So I get, this is my Imodium. This is the best single remedy for IBS that you can possibly imagine. Anyway, I'm the only one that uses Skype, I think, in the whole country for the exact purpose that I use it. And so I need it to be able to get people easily in here, watching the, participating in the program. It's just they call and I go add to group and there they are, right? So I still haven't gotten an answer anywhere on how you just, and I asked the question on Skype, I put it in. How do I add a person to a group who is calling me? And there's no answer. There's like all these other answers about, well, you can go to this person and it'll put the other one on hold. That's not what I want. There's no, it's almost impossible to find an answer. Hold on a second.
Well, it's time you create your own program.
Yeah,
Skype,
right.
Instead of Skype.
Yeah, sure. I wish I had the money. I would hire a bunch of people to build a program just for me, and then maybe farm it out to other people as well. Here we go, add the group, and then we have Jeff Stein. Now, where is that same ability in the new Skype? But anyway, also, I can't use my switching program. Okay, I can't use my switching program with the new Skype because it doesn't come up. So you have to go through another system. But I finally learned how to use that so that I could put all the people on the screen at the same time. I can even, with this other program, literally put you in a very nice pattern if I want to, So against a background and all of that. That's going to be enough trouble, but I know how to do it now. But what I don't know how to do is to do what I just did here. And they don't care over at Microsoft. They don't give a fucking goddamn shit.
Remember, it's free.
Well, charge me for it. I'll be happy to pay for it if it does what I need it to do. Maybe if everybody were paying for it, they wouldn't be as cavalier about changing it like they have.
No, I think they love making changes. They do that with Office. Yeah. And that's a real popular program. They do it with the main OS, right? They do it with Windows. How many times has it changed?
Yeah.
That's Microsoft's MO. You don't get support because it's a free program.
What is wrong with SG? What is wrong with trying to get him on here? Add to group, and he doesn't add. I don't know, and I don't know who Richard Johansson is.
He's called before.
Well,
I think that guy was in Thailand and called you once.
No, I don't think that's him. No, I don't think that's him. But I mean, I don't know. It's weird. I'm having some weird problems there. But anyway, so I spent all weekend long, literally, at the computer trying to get an answer to that one question. And I finally found somebody who did a video on how to use this thing called NDI, which allows me, if you call, to then put your picture in there, and then if somebody else calls, to put another picture in there, and so on and so forth. And the good thing about it is I can get rid of any one of you that I want to. So,
not bad.
Yeah, but outside of that, I mean, first I got to get you all into Skype. And I can do that. I think I can do that by sending you all a note saying, sign on, please. I may be able to also give you a URL that you can use in your browser that will get you in to the thing. But I'm going to have to test that sometime, some weekend or something with you, Phil, and see if that works. If that works, then I can simply put a link on GabNet and tell people, click on that link. It'll take you to a page, and then you just simply sign on. Okay, I'm trying you one more time, SG, and if you don't come up, no, I'm having trouble getting him on.
I'm trying to. He's calling an old.
I'm trying to. No, I'm adding him to the group, but it won't add him. Yeah. That's
put us on hold. Call him back.
Stop. Let me see here. Where is it? Where is he? He's not even here. Oh, there's SG. Okay, let me try calling him. Add call to group, and let's see if he picks up. We don't know, you know. But SG, if you're listening to us, I'm ringing you right now, and you should pick up. Okay, and we'll just see what happens. But for some reason, he always has trouble, and then he tries 8 million times, and it throws the show off completely. You know. Well, I'm calling him back, and he's not picking up. So there's something wrong on his side or something. I have no idea. Hi, Tony. How you doing?
All right.
Did you?
Sorry for your loss, Tony.
Yeah. Thank you.
So did you bury the old man?
He's gone. Yeah. My mother had a dream. I was telling Jackie. She believes in the spirits. That I don't know if it means anything, but she saw Uncle Teddy last week.
She saw.
I never knew who he was.
Who?
She thinks that's my Uncle Teddy.
Your Uncle Teddy.
Like, he liked my father, so she's thinking that somehow that's a sign.
Oh boy.
She saw him. Is Uncle Teddy alive?
She dreamed. No, he's gone a long time.
Oh, okay.
So she says that's a good sign. He had his blue shirt on. I don't know.
That's an effect of that wallpaper.
Yeah, that wallpaper, man.
You know, it's a lot.
No wonder you're Norman Bates. Look at that wallpaper.
It's horrible. She's got a chandelier coming down here. Actually, I've been going. It's weird. It's weird because it's empty. But like I was gonna tell you, I miss him. But the way he was, I was kind of glad because it was a heart disease.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Tony, pull your screen towards you from the top.
There we go. A little more. Yeah, there we go. Oh, there we go. There we go.
That's good.
Yeah.
Like the dreams. Like Rob, she has these dreams. So she's waiting for somebody else. She dreams because she'll come up at night and says, "Oh, Nanny came to me." And did she say anything? No. She says, "No, she was just there and she was happy." It's all right.
Maybe she needs a CPAP machine.
Are you sure that's not just regular dementia?
No, actually, she's been like this for 30 years, even when I was a kid.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
okay.
That's where you get it from.
That's where it comes from. Now we know.
Like, it's not like I guess because it's on her mind. So it makes her be at peace, I think. Yeah. So I go along.
So was it a nice funeral and everything? Or I mean, not that funerals are funerals are nice.
No, but it was well, my dad wanted one day because he said whoever wanted to see me would come. And really, he didn't like some of the family, which I agree with. Mm-hmm. Like there was some people who, Alex, there was three cousins who we never see, right?
Mm-hmm.
They came to the lunch, and they took doggy bags home. I wanted to vomit.
Oh boy, I love that.
I said, "You son of a bitch!" I said, "My brother's like, we can't say anything." So my Aunt Barbara goes, "Can you believe these three? We haven't seen them in 15 years. They're taking doggy bags home." I said, "Just put my curses on them."
At my father's shiver at our house, cousins came, and they said, "Do you think you still need that snowblower?"
Oh, really?
They wanted the snowblower. You know, what are we going to do? We're still living there.
Oh my God!
My mother was pissed because not mad. She's don't say anything. But my Aunt Barbara's like, "You got to be kidding!" She turned in. She says, "Don't say nothing." But don't worry about it, she says. They'll get this.
Everybody does.
You seem to be handling the death of your father pretty well, Tony.
Yeah, I am. You know why, Alex? I get a little down, but I'm trying to do like he said.
Yeah.
And for the fact that he liked to laugh. So I got to put it in perspective that if that was me, it was a shock, and I was upset, and I am. But I think I have to do what he wanted. Like, don't want me to cry and be like a bibbling fool every day.
Yeah.
He says, so laugh and just enjoy life. And the people who are jerks, he says, just stay away from
I'll tell you something, Tony. What's strange is that when my father died, my wife at the time, Ronnie, told me that I cried in my sleep that night.
Oh, you did?
But otherwise, I was pretty even keeled. And I was even keeled for about a year, and everything was just fine.
How old were you?
How old was I? I think I was like 27, 26,
Oh, wow.
27.
Wow.
Yeah, I was 17 when my father.
Oh, okay. Well, but anyway, what happened
What happened?
was about a year later, I had some kind of problem, and my immediate thought was, I should call my father and get his opinion. And then I came to the realization again that he was dead. And that was the first time it really hit me, and I got really depressed after that.
Alex, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Might it be easier for me because I'm the youngest and I have a brother and a sister?
Oh, yes. I had nobody.
I feel bad because you were an only child. Maybe if you had an older brother or a sister, it might have been easier.
Well, if I had somebody to share the grief with and the load and the whole thing, but it was just me. And when my mother died, it was the same thing. Of course, she waited about 30 years more to die.
I was thinking about what you said.
Yeah,
my father left me.
Yeah, you know, as I said about my mother, too stupid to live, too stupid to die. You know, but when she went again, you know, it was all on me, right?
Yeah, I felt bad you were by yourself.
Yeah,
and you did a good job. I like that stone.
Yeah, the headstone's beautiful. Jeff?
Well, I really didn't plan on sharing this with everybody, but Tony started the consequence.
Started the Shiva here. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to a funeral the other day. Lady died, 27 years old.
Oh boy,
what'd she have?
She got hit by a truck.
Holy!
Walking in the city.
In New York City?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And of course, I've known her since she's like 6 years old. I mean, not particularly close for any reason, but I knew her father, who used to be like a coach, and he was my son's coach at one time. And she used to come over there all the time, and she hated being there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Wow. Yeah.
What a bummer, right?
Well, that brought the show to a grinding halt.
You know, I used to tell people that in the difference in New York, if you step off the sidewalk and there's a car coming, you're going to be a hood ornament. In California, if you look like you're going to want to step off the sidewalk, everybody stops. You know, because they're afraid.
Crazy.
I call California the land of no you go, no you go. And here's what I mean by that. You get to a intersection and everybody just stays. If there's no light, they all stay still and going, no, you go, no, you go, no, you go, no, you go.
And making a left turn?
Well, you know what you're supposed to do.
They go one at a time.
Well, you know,
they all go at the same time.
Yeah, but you know what the custom is legally. Is how if you all come to a corner at the same time, right?
Guy on the right is the guy that goes.
The right of way. You're the person on the right goes first. But everybody is kind of on the right if you all come to the intersection at the same time. And I've seen in California people sit there for 5 minutes not being able to figure out who's got to go next.
Well, they're smoking a doobie.
That's right, too. But
I'll tell you, California freaked me out. I was walking around Santa Monica, and I worked in Manhattan for years and walked around the city, and I'm, didn't think anything of stepping off the curb to just wait for a car to go by, and the car comes to a skidding halt, and I'm like, what? I had no idea that that's what happened. And you step off the curb and everybody's got to come to a screeching halt. In New York, if you did that, cars wouldn't move. Everybody's standing on the side.
Hell, in New York, they hit you and then tell you to go fuck yourself.
That's right.
By the way, as long as we're speaking about what we were speaking about, I got some kind of bad news. My friend Jack Garfine's in ICU at Beth Israel Hospital tonight. He has pneumonia and he has heart problems. So I don't know what's going to happen. It doesn't look terribly good, but I keep saying to myself, that's what I get for getting to know an old guy.
And doing an interview.
Yeah. I mean, I love the man. I just absolutely love the man. So I'm, well, hopefully he'll pull out of this one. But you know, the guy is he's 78 years old, and not 78, 88 years old, and you know, you have to expect that, you know, anytime he gets a cough, that may be it. You know.
Plus, his immune system has to be compromised due to the time that he spent in the concentration camps.
Well, you know something? I honestly believe that's why he's 88 years old. Okay?
Yeah.
I find the people who have been in extraordinary circumstances like that seem to live long lives.
Longer.
Yeah.
They're probably strong.
I think that something in that situation toughened them up or guarded them against something, because let's face it, I mean, if Jack went tomorrow, I can't say, oh, he was so young, why did he have to die? Although my mother did that with a friend of hers who was 92, and my mother was 93, and she said, why did she die? She was so young. And I said, really, Mom? You're really saying that? You know, and she died at 92, right?
Yeah. I guess you hope for another year.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, I would hope that, you know, he would live forever. You know, I love the man, but I live with the reality that he's not a young man, you know, and that at his age, hell, a bad cold could get him.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so. But I
Especially
disagree.
in New York.
I think the concentration camp is what allowed him to get to be this old. I mean, we always read about people who are dying, and they were in a concentration camp and they're like 92. You know, so whatever. Yeah. So you know. That's on my mind a little bit this evening, a lot this evening. Anyway, so between that and not being able to figure out how to use Skype, is it my age that I can't understand how to do that?
Because no, nobody knows.
Do some homework today for me. Oh, here comes SG again. I'm going to block him if he doesn't come through this time. No, well, there it goes. Call failed. Wait a minute, here he comes. Call failed. SG, I'm sorry. Oh, wait a minute, here he comes. Here he comes. I think we got him. I don't know what's wrong, but he's just whirling around. Are you there, SG?
Yes.
Yeah. What's your problem tonight with your Skype? You have called us about 8 times, and it hasn't worked right.
Well, sorry about your friend.
No, wait a minute. I just asked you a question, though, about the problems you apparently have been having with Skype this evening.
I'm trying to be, you know, your friend. I'm sorry about your friend.
What?
Yeah, Skype has been a big part of the conversation tonight.
Yeah, but what has your problem been getting on with Skype? You've tried to get on about maybe 8 times tonight?
Well, you know, it's probably because I'm trying to get to a liberal platform, and it's so hard for America to get to a liberal socialist platform that I can't dial it.
That's not what I'm asking. That's that's the joke answer.
But it's the truth.
No, but I'm just wondering what's been your problem tonight getting on? Just is there something wrong with your equipment? Wait a minute, that's Phil's problem.
Let me check my equipment.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Damn it. Yeah, but you know, I just find that people who've lived rough lives sometimes live longer just because something, you know, made them tougher. Yeah. You know, so it's.
I'll add that to that list.
Huh?
I'll add to that list.
Oh, hey, look at you! You're a walking miracle, for Christ's sake, Jeff. You know,
better living through technology.
Yeah, he's basically he could be the next star of RoboCop. You know, I mean, some good work there, Jeff.
Keeping a lot of doctors.
And I'll tell you, we had lunch with you one day, which is my chance to meet you. And you look in great shape. You don't look like a guy who's, you know, been pumping iron. I guess that's one way of putting it. You know, I mean, it really amazing. I think you got some great doctors.
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
that's absolutely true.
And then
if I lived in Florida, I would have been dead.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, also you am I correct? You really were part of the creator of the very thing that saved your life.
Yeah, some of those things, yes.
Yeah.
I could have survived possibly other ways.
Yeah, but I mean, the artificial heart valve, you were involved in building them, right?
And but I ended up taking a drug called Coumadin.
Oh yeah.
And because of taking that for years and years and years, I ended up having a stroke from that.
From that.
Oh. And that's the worst thing.
Is that what are they saying? That's what caused the stroke?
Yeah, the drug.
Oh wow.
Is that a class action lawsuit?
No, it's kind of like it's
side effect.
It's on the bottle.
That's right. It's that you expected to have a stroke after taking this drug today.
No, but what about the doctors who kept prescribing it to you, knowing that this was an eventuality?
Yeah, but it's that kind of a risky thing, and I would have it tested all the time.
That's a blood thinner, right, Coumadin?
Yes.
By the way, did you see that our president, who I am normally want to say nasty, horrible things about, supposedly, who was talking to him? The head of the Newsmax. I'm trying to remember his name now.
Alex Jones?
No. Newsmax. His name is Cutter or something like that. And he is a close friend of Donald Trump's, and he said he saw him this weekend at Mar-a-Lago, and they were talking about something Trump wants to do. Now, if he does this, at least I will say, a stopped watch is right twice a day. He wants to see us get the same price for drugs that the Canadians do.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, he's been doing that for years.
Really?
Yeah, that's part of his platform.
Well, that would be a good part of his platform. I couldn't sit here and I'd say, well, he's still a fucking piece of shit, except
he's hiding the swamp.
Not only that, Alex, he's spearheading a global initiative to make it so countries aren't calling gay people.
Well, yeah, he wants to start an initiative to go against countries who have laws against homosexuality. Yeah. In some cases, those laws.
Why did he, Then why did he repeal Obama's gays in the military thing?
Now transgenders in the military.
Transgender.
Yeah.
You don't go into the military wanting to have. A lot of these people went in there and had operations. You go in the military, it's something that you join to be uniform.
Well, to begin with, you're wrong. You're wrong.
You don't join it. You don't join it to go in there and all of a sudden have all these operations and have people treat you differently. It's a uniform operation.
No, wait a minute. I think you're wrong, SG, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why you're wrong. Because most of these transgenders are just cross-dressers. They're not people who want to have an operation to change.
It's like Klinger on MASH.
They don't want to have.
Yeah, well, it's like Klinger. Yeah.
They don't want to have their penis whacked off, or as they do with women who want to become men, an operation called an addictomy.
I really don't care. I really don't care what people do.
Yeah.
It just, when you have something that you want a uniform group of people, that's what you do.
Well, there's some people that just want to serve in the military, and they happen to also have this, we won't say problem, this condition, this situation. I don't know, what would we call it to be politically correct? But it's not a disease. But they have this problem. They have this situation, and they need help on it. You don't
join the military then, because you're trying to join a uniform organization where there are rules.
Well, yes,
I mean,
but
it's not an anti-gay thing. It's like a uniform.
Well, to begin with, wait a minute.
You're trying to have that, you know. It has nothing to do.
To begin with, transsexuality has nothing to do with being gay or straight. Okay, it's a condition in and of its own.
See, even you call it a condition.
Well, I'm saying a condition because I haven't got a better word to use. It's a situation. It's not. In other words, the military does not say that you can't be gay and be in the military, right?
I didn't say nothing about gay. It said
Clinton said, "Don't ask, don't tell."
Well, but then it was amended. I think by the time we got to Obama with his, you can tell it doesn't matter. We don't care. We want you. We need cannon fodder, and you're it. You know.
I really don't care. All those people can join. But the point is, you join an organization. You don't join and then have surgery.
But I don't know if they just.
Nobody said they were getting surgery like crazy, SG.
I didn't say like crazy.
No.
They're going in there, and all of a sudden they're saying, we need to do this. And then there's
they're basically what they're
also the drugs. The drugs that they wanted to keep up their what they needed, regardless of the surgery or not. There are hormone drugs, I guess, that they're very expensive, and the military was on the hook for them.
Even forget about the expense, forget about all this stuff. You know, I could care less what people do. Really, I really could care less. You've got.
It's like you're bothered by it.
No, I'm not bothered by it at all. I think it's something that, you know, some people say, oh yeah, we should have all these people go in there and blah blah blah. I'm saying, when you join an organization, whether it's the Girl Scouts or the Boy Scouts or the military, you join it knowing that there's this group of rules that you're going to abide by.
Yeah, but that's not a rule. That was never a rule.
What rule are they breaking?
What rule are they breaking, SG?
These are guidelines.
No, wait a minute. SG, you're saying there are guidelines and so on. Where are the guidelines against being transsexual or being homosexual?
I can't talk over you on GabNet.
Well, you talk over me all the time. You never hold a discussion. You just, blab on.
Oh, that's bullshit, man. And you know it. Why do people join the military?
For the same reason
it's a job.
Yes.
What is with it tonight? Sometimes something like Ray Renati just called, and all of a sudden he's the call doesn't stick.
But here's a question then: if they join the services, if they were doing anything wrong, they would. It's not like they're doing anything that they're not allowed to do. If it's in their health plan that they can get whatever they want, hormones or this, it really doesn't affect us.
Mm-hmm. What is Ray Renati's problem tonight? Oh man, I don't get this.
It's not just exclusive to Republicans.
Add to group. There he is. Okay. Let me see. Hold on a second. Ray, you there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
What was your problem getting connected?
It kept booting me out.
Really? Because we had that trouble with SG tonight too, but we haven't had that trouble with anybody else. So Anyway.
I'm going to try. My goal is to get kicked out of the YMCA.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Your wife. Yeah. Your wife works there. You really want to be an upstart like this?
Yeah. Why not? Live on the edge.
Oh, sorry.
That's my favorite video. Okay.
No, it looks like Patrick Blazik is going to try and come out.
That's me. I got my mother's cold at me.
Yeah.
I'm going to spray it with Lysol.
I just say there are people who want to be in the military because they want to serve their country and whatever, and they want to do it in spite of their own particular sexuality.
Right.
And to say that they're doing it because, hey, I know where I can get my operation.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry.
I did not say that.
Well, that's what you were implying.
No, I was not implying that.
I mean, I would sign up for the military just for the free medical benefits,
You already have them.
People do.
Huh?
They do.
They do. Hello, Patrick.
Hola.
How you doing?
I am tip top, bebop.
You always when I ask you that question, you never say I'm all fucked. My life sucks. You know, you're not like
I love Patrick.
you're not like me. You know, my glass is always half empty. You know.
Just remember, every day, life is a shit sandwich, and every day is another bite.
That's true.
Every second you're closer to dying. So
well, I think I started my life by knowing that I was just born, and that means I'm starting to die.
I was ready. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't like thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't either.
I want to live long.
No, it's terrible. I've been really depressed about it lately because I have people around me dying. You know.
Yeah, it's got to be tough.
Yeah, although I'll tell you a story here.
Yeah.
Years ago, and I think I told the story with Bubbles tonight. I worked in Klamath Falls, Oregon, and as a side job, I worked for a radio consultant named Ted Randall. Ted Randall had to be, I don't know how many more years older than me, but all I know is he had been a disc jockey in San Francisco for quite a while at a station called KOBY. And he was a consultant and to many, many stations, and he hired me to do like the imaging for these stations, the tapes we would send out where I would say, you're listening to blah, 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 top best hits anywhere, whatever. And so I've got this guy, David, what's his name again? David Jackson over at the Bay Area Radio Archives. And oh no, here comes this Richard Johansson again trying to call in. Let's see. No, I can't get him to add.
Alex, something seems wrong with Skype. Like my video's not working and I can't even turn it on or off.
Really? Because we can see you fine.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to hang up. No, I'm going to have to hang up on Richard Johansson. But anyway, everybody else getting good picture, right?
Yeah.
Then I think it's just raise bandwidth, but he's coming through loud and clear. Anyway, where was I? And so this guy, I don't know, he had to be at least 10 years older than me, maybe more. Oh, come on, Richard. Come on. See, I click add to group, and he doesn't add to group. There's something wrong with him.
How come that Barhoff organization was posting stuff? They posted a picture of you.
Yeah, I know, because
I KTIS stuff, and I sent it to you. Did anyone else send it to you?
KTIM stuff. No, I have it all.
Oh,
I have it
know,
all.
but
he found what happened was anyway about this Ted Randall. So I looked him up. The guy is still alive. He's living in Canada. It's not like being alive. He's in Canada, but he's alive. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's the first good news I've had in a while. Somebody that I would just assume was dead by now is still alive.
It's hope.
Yeah.
That's why I call into this program.
Yeah. But what Phil is referring to is David was posting a lot of stuff on my Facebook page that he had found because he's like an archivist, And what he found was...
This was posted on the Barhoff page.
Yeah, it was also on the Barhoff page, but he also put on my page and sent to me a link to a audio tape that was done by Roy Trumbull and myself hosting a show out of a teenage nightclub in San Rafael, California. It had to be circa about 57, 56. Wow. I don't know when. It's maybe the earliest tape of myself I can lay my hands on. There may be one other. And he found it. I don't know. Somebody had it. Somebody over in Oakland who had some kind of archives. And I don't know how it wound up there. Maybe Roy Trumbull gave it to him or whatever. But there I am, Jerry Bennett, the teenage disc jockey. It's amazing. Wow. Just amazing. They find, live long enough and on the internet you can find anything. Sure. Okay. That's my story for that. So, yes, Patrick.
One of our local talk show hosts on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
He's about 63 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He had a stroke while he was on the air last Monday.
Oh wow!
Oh really?
Yeah, and the only reason I bring it up is, you know, you had talking about dying and that sort of thing. Well, he had very minimal damage. He'll be back to work after some rehab. But I mean, talk about a weird thing. He did his first hour of his show, and then they went into break, and he had a stroke. So
wow,
it reminds me.
He drove himself to the hospital.
Wait a minute.
Reminds me of that newscaster, that reporter that was on television having a stroke while she was being interviewed, and she was just started to say gibberish. And she had a stroke while she was on the air. You could find it if you YouTube it. And she just started saying gibberish, and they were like, "What's going on?" Turns out she had a stroke while doing a report.
By the way, I just found this. This is that tape that he put up there. I won't play the whole thing. I'll just play the first first minute or so of it, so you can hear Jerry Bennett. And listen to this. This is they found this. I don't know where. I don't even remember. I don't even remember recording the goddamn thing. Wait a minute. Let's see.
Welcome to the Cloud 8 Show, coming to you tape recorded from Marin County's only teenage nightclub. And now, here's your Cloud 8 MC, Jerry Bennett.
This is embarrassing.
Thanks a lot, Roy Trumbull, and welcome down here to the Cloud 8. And we think you're going to have a real ball today. In case you're wondering where the Cloud 8 is, it's located at 508B 4th Street in San Rafael. And if you dig down here any Friday or Saturday, you're bound to find what's happening right now. Jam session. Tonight we got two real fine groups to perform for you over the air. First of which is the Starlighters, who you're going to hear much of tonight, and you're also going to hear a little bit about what they're going to be doing just very soon. Right now, what do you say we start off with the man you're hearing right now, Mr. John Allaire, and his version of Fever.
Anyway, so there you go, folks. Huh?
How about that?
How about that?
Every it sounds like
that was great.
You dialed into what people wanted to hear, the kind of action, right?
No, I was just trying.
Every time you kind of morph into what you think is popular, which is great. Right?
I didn't morph into anything there. That's where I started. That wasn't morphing.
No, I mean, but you did that because you knew it was popular.
Oh, by the way, Johansson just wrote me. He was been trying to call in from Bangkok. So
he was the Thailand guy.
Yeah, who knows what the problem is? Yeah, it was a Thailand guy. No, that was the beginning. That was me metamorphosizing into anything, you know.
That was his first shot.
Well, it wasn't my first shot, but that was close to it, you know. And I think we did that as kind of a prospect show. It was a kind of a pilot idea for some show we wanted to do, but it never got broadcast. It's my recollection of it.
Yeah.
But did that sound anything? Wait a minute. Did that sound anything like me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
Some of the intonations, I could tell it was you.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
I would say it's better than you are now.
Oh, fuck you, SG.
That's good.
Always like it when SG calls. I get to feel better about myself after the show, you know. But
no, you were in the groove, man. You were in the groove. You had that 50s feeling that. You know, I listen to that stuff all the time, and I think you were in the groove.
I was in the groove.
508B. Isn't there still a club there?
No. Oh no.
There's something. It was on 4th Street.
Oh no. It was it wasn't on 4th Street. It was down near San Rafael High School.
Oh.
It was on the other side of the freeway. The other side of the freeway.
There's something in San Rafael.
Yeah.
Some jazz club or. I'll have to look. See if I can find it.
Yeah.
That was good.
Well, yeah, sure. Thank you very much, SG. I listened to it and I'm embarrassed by it.
No.
But I thought
it's that sound. If you have any kind of old CD that you put in your whatever, and you listen to people like yourself doing that kind of stuff, it's kind of nostalgic and great.
Well, there are two people on that show that I know are dead. Roy Trumbull, my friend who did the introduction and recorded it. And remember I told you about this black friend of mine in Marin City? His name was Matty Barron, and Matty Barron is on that show. I talked to him. He died in a drowning accident in Richardson Bay. But I mean, that was how many years ago? Boy, God, damn it!
The place I was thinking of is called the Phoenix, and it's at 919.
No, this was a club that lasted about 6 months, and that was it. You weren't even alive, Phil. Or maybe you were.
You were good. That was good.
Thank you, SJ. I appreciate it. That's the pilot for our new show here on Gabnet. I think we'll see if we can go for a second episode.
Okay.
So, Rob Alfano, how's everything in your part of your neck of the woods?
Good, very good. We're going to get some major snow tomorrow.
Yeah.
But can't complain. Just personal crap going on. Mom just went into a assisted living, and
oh boy,
yeah.
Why assisted
Not
living?
fun.
Why assisted living? Is she not capable of taking care of herself?
Dementia. She doesn't even know where she is anymore.
My mother had dementia.
Yeah, she's to the point now and she's in a beautiful place. I mean, man, oh man, what a really nice. It's like a hotel.
Well, I put my mother in the Jewish home for the aged in San Francisco, which was really nice. They had like 300 patients in there and 300 people who worked there. That's how, how
These
good
places
it was.
are gorgeous, but it's what, $7,000 a month.
Mine for my mother was $7,000 a month until we used up all her money.
Right.
And then they said,
not this place. When we use up her money, she's got to go.
Well,
you don't have to go home, but you can't stay there.
With the Jewish home for the aged, they use up. I had to literally write over all her money. She had about $35,000, and they ate away at that at maybe $7,000 a month. And when that was gone, they said, "There's no way we will throw her out of here." In other words, we'll find other patrons to take care of her bill or her tab, but we never throw anybody out of here once they get in. It was kind of like at the end of her life getting her into Harvard. I mean, it was that kind of situation. Here comes Richard Johansson again, but I bet we can't get him to. No, I can't get him to. I hit add to group call, and it will not add him to the group call. Isn't that terrible?
So, I can be a little bit positive about this situation, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
My daughter does music therapy for Alzheimer's patients. Oh, wow. And the music is something that these folks, it's been shown scientifically.
Yes, I know. I was seeing a thing about it the other day.
Right.
Yeah.
They cling on to, and I would implore anyone that has a loved one in that situation, that they have some kind of music therapy, old thing. And she said that they could do barely anything, but when she sang the songs, the people sang the songs, and they clung on to it, and it was like them bringing them back to life. Music
memory, according to the thing that I saw, is exactly what you're saying. The music memory is very, very, very strong, and it's a great way to bring them around. They relate to the music. They can remember a song.
If you saw the Glenn Campbell special of his last concert tour while he was suffering with Alzheimer's, he was a babbling idiot when he wasn't on stage, but give him his songs to sing, and when he stopped singing, he would say some wacky things, but the crowd understood. But when he put that guitar in his hand and he started singing his songs, It's just amazing.
Yeah, but I remember seeing that. He couldn't remember a song he just played, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he also had to have the words.
He had to have a teleprompter.
But he could play the guitar perfectly.
But man, unbelievable.
As if nothing ever happened. And he's a great guitar player.
Frank Sinatra have those issues, but he couldn't remember the words?
Oh, well, no, he used a
Almost everyone
teleprompter.
gets that.
Look, I mean, I think if I'm having some problems lately that are bothering me, but it's things that I do every day, and then all of a sudden I forget how to do them, I don't know if that's that or that I'm just so tired of doing those same things every day.
You don't want to remember
that I block out on them, but I'm still able to, I guess, continue, but but as soon as I can any longer, it's interesting that I'm wondering if, I keep talking about this Skype problem that I can't figure out how you get another person.
Al?
Yeah.
I have to cut it short because my mother needs me.
Why? She needs to.
I don't want to tell you.
She needs to change the wallpaper.
No, you know what happened? The blanket's not hot enough.
The what?
The warm. Got a heating blanket.
I got a heating blanket. I got to put this thing on. She's got the window open. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm cold, but now I'm hot. The window's open. I closed the window.
Close the window. Turn the blanket down.
I know, but she's making me.
Either that, or if you're getting really sick and tired of this, turn it on high and just pray. know.
Sing her a song. Short it out.
Now, was he leaving us, or?
Yeah.
He didn't hang up.
He didn't hang up, so I'm going to just assume he's coming back. But I mean, I just taking care of an old person when they get Alzheimer's is a real problem. And I always like to tell the story that the worst thing I ever did, and I'm sure you won't do this with your mother, Rob, after I tell you this story, but I told my mother, I said, Mom, I'm going to be gone for a month or so. I'm going to New York. And she said, oh, well, say hello to my parents.
Yeah, my mother does that all the time.
And I said to her, Mom, your parents are dead. And she started wailing and crying and going into a fit like the first time she found out her parents were dead.
Yeah.
And I realized that you just go, I certainly will.
Right. You always pretend that, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I start babbling like that, please don't tell me somebody's dead. Just say, oh, yeah, sure, Alex, fine. Okay. Right.
Hey, Alex, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I just wanted to say, I used to love it when you had your mom on the show years ago.
Yeah.
Many years ago. It was so fun. I really loved those segments.
Well, the thing that I found out, they did a roast for me, and they asked her to appear, but Kevin Pollak put it together, and they held a roast for me. And they asked my mother to appear. And so my mother said, okay, well, I'll get up there and I'll say something. And she always acted like, oh, well, I'll see if I can. I don't know if I can. And what I said to her was, I said, Mom, don't worry about it. She said, what am I going to say? I said, say anything. I said, you're 80 years old. Anything you say, they will laugh at. And I was right. I mean, every time she'd get up there, go, and my son, Dan, she'd use my real name, and they'd all laugh. I mean, she could do anything, and she would get a laugh just because she was old.
Yeah.
Well. So, but my mother wasn't particularly a funny person. My father was the funny person, but she was just funny because she was old.
You know what? You're come on. She was old. She was endearing.
And everybody always told me, gee, your mother is so sweet and wonderful. And I said, that's because she's your mother. I said, to be her son is hell on earth. Okay.
Man, oh man.
But Ray remembers me having her on the air, and I never hesitated for a moment to put her on the air because she would always get a laugh.
Sure. It's like Letterman's mom. Remember that?
Yeah, exactly. Good example. Good example. You know. And I hear she was not the nicest human being in the world, but she came off very sweet on the air, you know. And he would send her to the Olympics, and he would do the Thanksgiving thing, you know. Yeah, use your mother. Your mother will always get a laugh, you know. So, anyway. Hi, Patrick. You're quiet tonight. You're quiet tonight. Oh, I love you too. Anything you'd like to bring up tonight, Patrick?
Not particularly. I mean, I guess if anything, I find curious what's happening with the Democrats now. That Bernie had jumped into the pool.
That's a mistake.
As an independent.
Everybody having a fucking stroke over it. I just think it's hilarious. I think it's as funny as the Republican side in 2016, where we had 900 of them, and you know it's the same deal. And I on Facebook, some of my left-leaning folks who like to post about politics, they're just having a stroke over this. And there are a couple of them that are Bernie or bust people, and they're getting that are anti.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Somebody needs to mute.
Charlie, can you hear us, Charlie? Charlie, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Charlie?
You don't hear us.
He can't even hear us, so I can't tell him to mute. Anyway, yeah. So you say they were getting apoplectic. They were all for Bernie, like, running?
Well, the ones that are all in for Bernie are getting skewered by one that don't want Bernie in it because they don't want it divided. We got to all stick together so we can get rid of Trump.
Well, Bernie...
There's one Democrat who will vote for a Republican if it's not Trump, if to get Trump out. So I'm having fun reading my Facebook now after a while. It's been pretty boring, and now Bernie's in, it's pretty entertaining for me.
Yeah.
There's two independents now. You got Schultz and you got Bernie Sanders. And those guys, you know, they'll take votes away from the Democratic runner. And, you know, the other thing that I've been noticing with the Democrats is on the Smollett story, the ones that jumped to the conclusions that he was attacked, and now they're finding out it was a hoax. They're using a narrative.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Where did you hear the first idea thrown across that this thing looked fishy?
I did, well...
you heard it from me.
Yeah.
You heard it from me. I said this on the show the other night, that the whole thing looked a little phony baloney to me, and I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out that it's a hoax.
I guess you're right.
And I was very careful about phrasing it because I didn't want people to get apoplectic and whatever over it. But it just, the whole thing from the very beginning smelled.
Yeah.
You know,
is that necessarily a political issue? Isn't it more just like whether or not?
It's a very divisive.
He turned it into he tried to turn it into a political issue.
Oh, I see.
Mega hat.
Yeah, and it was. It looks like now the whole thing was a phony, that it was rehearsed, and it's interesting to see all the people who sided with Jussie is his name, Jussie Smollett, publicly, who are suddenly now getting very quiet. Nancy Pelosi was one of them. She wrote
Sharpton,
Al
Sharpton, and also Kamala Harris.
Yeah. If Richard Johansson is listening, no, Richard, it isn't a full house, and if somebody else called, we might not have a problem, but you've got a problem because you're probably calling from Bangkok is what the problem is. Yes, Patrick.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up Al Sharpton on that because I read that he stated that it just is a hoax, that he hoped that Jussie gets the maximum for, wasting, the time
resources.
And
I agree.
And my question to that hypocritical fuck.
Yeah.
Tawana Brawley.
Backing those, I mean, where's the fucking apology for that?
That's true.
Can suck my ass.
Yeah, but I still agree with that statement.
What?
If it's a
Oh,
fake.
oh yeah, yeah. No,
the
statement's fine, but he's been known to. And I'm sure. I don't know. I didn't pay any attention to him, but I'm sure he got behind Smollett when this first happened. Just like Nancy Pelosi, I think, put out a tweet being on Smollett's side, and now she's not saying anything. It's radio silence, and Spike Lee, where's Spike Lee saying "you fuck"?
This happened in Chicago.
Huh?
This happened in Chicago. I don't think Smollett's going to have one day in jail.
I think. Well, I don't know if he's going to have one day in jail, or he's going to have any kind of, because he can get maybe a good lawyer and they can make a case, and he's never had a crime before, and blah blah blah, whatever. But he is good. There is going to be a trial. You bet your life there's going to be a fucking
12 detectives, 12 in Chicago working
about
on
waste.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the disingenuous thing that he said when he was interviewed by who was it, Robin Givens, or is that who it was?
Oh yeah. On GMA.
Yeah, he said he doesn't want to be one of those people that would fake something, because then it would take away from the actual victims or something like that. And I started laughing when I heard that, because I think this is a hoax anyway. And if what you're saying, you're going against exactly what it is that you're stating, but you don't want to minimize real victims by creating a fake attack. And that's exactly what he did.
Well, what's funny is somebody said to me, he seems so convincing on Good Morning America, and I said, he's an actor. He's an actor.
Right, and he was getting thrown puffball questions.
Oh yeah, because she didn't want to, Robin, whatever her name is, didn't want to ask him the hardball questions because she wanted to seem sensitive to the situation. So that was like a slam dunk interview for him. Everybody was afraid. Here's the problem. Everybody was afraid, except I guess for me, to say this thing smells bad. It doesn't pass the smell test. And can you hear us now, Charles?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Skype went out on me.
Wow. Anyway, yes, Ray. Ray? Oh, your mic isn't on, Ray.
No. There.
Well, it's cutting in and out.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, we go.
I have a bad connection. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at the pictures of him in the hospital, it looks like he just went through like an afternoon of sparring with a friend. His little tiny scratch on his cheek. When someone gets mugged, their eyes are all black. There's contusions all over their face. If anyone puts a rope around your neck, it's going to look horrible. I mean, it's a big hoax.
Yeah, but
either he faked it or somebody else did, and he didn't know right away.
But everybody in the media was treating this thing with kid gloves. Nobody was saying, well, this thing. All they had to say was, well, yes, he says this, but so far there's no proof, so we don't know. Something doesn't look right here, one way or another. But nobody was saying that. They were all siding with him. Oh, look what happened to poor Jussie. Oh, and all the people on the TV show were going, this is horrible. And Fox was standing behind him and all of that. Well, now Fox is saying, we want you to cut his scenes down on the last couple of episodes. Like for the last episode, which they were shooting, he had like 9 scenes. They cut him down to 4. They've gone back and re-edited some of the shows that are supposed to run now and kind of not cut him out of it, but shaved him down. And this all from the people who 3 days ago. Well, no, they were all afraid because this was a racial issue. Okay, this was a racial issue, and they didn't want to come down on the wrong side of it. But from the day I heard the story, I felt it didn't smell right.
So what he faked it then?
What he shows up with a noose around his neck from a little piece of like it looked like it was a cord from a what do you call it? A clothesline rope.
No one would leave it on.
I think Phil was more convincing just now.
Yeah, Patrick.
The thing that I thought was interesting is Chicago and Milwaukee were having the same weather.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened, it was so goddamn cold here in Milwaukee, and I know it was colder in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
What? I don't care if they're white supremacists and they hate homosexual lads. There's nobody that would be laying in wait in that type of weather for such a long time for the possible event that guy could have been coming home at some point. I mean, you wait for...
I might.
Really? But here did you hear what the one of the funnier parts of the story are? That they decided to do this thing where there was one of those city cameras, so they could have it on camera. And well, no, what happened was the camera had been turned and was facing in another direction, so they had no proof.
Right. And on the interview, he pointed out, I noticed that there was a camera up there, and unfortunately, it was out. Like, he knew it was there.
Yeah,
he knew it was there.
They did it in this. They did it in this exact place because there was a camera there. The only thing was, it wasn't pointing where they were doing the action.
Yeah. And he pretended as though he saw the camera after the fact.
So they probably really staged it then.
Absolutely. We're going to find out.
The camera showed the two guys that did it in the area. That's how they found those guys. Before the attack, I guess they were there, and the camera picked up.
And how they found out it was a fake was because these guys didn't want to be held to account for having beaten him up or whatever. So they said, "Here's what went on. We rehearsed this thing. We did this because he
were paid to do it.
He $3,500. Yeah.
Shit. Money well spent.
And he was not actually beat up. You see him. He was not beat up.
Also, the Covington Catholic guy.
The boys. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a whole. Now they have a $250 million suit against the Washington Post.
Another rush to judgment,
And if you look at the film, the guy who's the Indian guy walks into their group. They're standing there, and if you pan out, and it's on the Lincoln Memorial, he can go all the way around them or be 10 feet away from them.
When I saw that, and I hate to sound like SG, but when I saw that, I felt this guy was really the guy who was in their face. They weren't in his face.
Oh yeah, the smug look on the kid.
I didn't think it was a smug look. It looked like this guy was staring him in the face, and he didn't know how to react. So he just kind of had this look on his face.
He was uncomfortable. For people to jump on.
Well, it became a case of everybody interpreting that video in the way that they politically wanted to interpret it. And how I interpreted it, not trying to have any feel about it, was I felt that this Indian was actually coming up and staring him down rather than the other way around. Right. And I don't know. I just felt, and then I saw the Native American being interviewed on television, and he was doing everything he could to get publicity out of it.
Yeah. Right.
If you're an aggrieved person like that, you don't want to get publicity, but you want to explain your part of it. But instead, it looked like he was trying to get publicity, and I said, I don't know. I kind of, these are just a bunch of kids who didn't know what they were, and there were other people protesting it, and the clash was between them, between the what is it, the black Jews or whatever they were.
I don't black Hebrew Israelites. Not only that, if you look at the video before that, they are calling out the Native Americans. They're making fun of the Native Americans before this whole thing ever started. And you know what, Alex?
Who was making fun of them? The black group.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were being very aggressive.
Yeah.
Toward the Native Americans. But then when they went in, but
those kids, they were being aggressive to those kids.
But I want to say, Alex, thank you for saying the thing that you hate most is to sound like me, and that's like my biggest badge of honor.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, but I mean, I agree with you on your take on that situation. And it bothered me a great deal.
It's a shame that somebody would fake that.
But now getting back to the Smollett thing, quite frankly, I think he should number one have to pay for all the cops' time that was taken to do this.
Felony.
Richard, don't try again. Here, it doesn't happen. I add to group.
I don't think he can hear you while he's trying.
Well, I hit add to group, and it doesn't add them.
Want to call him back? Then you'll have a full house.
If I call him back, nothing happens. Watch what happens. But add to group call. Okay.
This, Alex. I mean, think about this.
Okay.
You're a kid, and you're 16 years old. And all of a sudden, people are wanting you to be killed.
Now it's trying to call him, by the way.
Okay.
But I just got a call from him, and I tried to answer it, and it wouldn't take.
Back to the Covington thing, and I know you want to concentrate on the Smollett thing, but those kids are being asked to be punched out, to be literally killed by people.
I haven't seen anybody calling for them to be killed. Give me a break.
They were saying that they should be suspended. There was their school even rushed to judgment on them, and said that they were intimidating the Vietnam era veteran.
Yeah,
who was never served in Vietnam. He was in Colorado or something, or Wyoming, and he was a refrigerator. His MOS was refrigerator repair.
Really?
Refrigerator repair.
Yeah.
Imagine getting him.
But I just a lot of times we're living in a mediaized age where people are trying to get publicity. Okay. And
they want to be first. They want to be first and not accurate.
What do you mean? Yes, Patrick.
I do want to say I give a lot of credit to the Chicago Police Department.
Yes.
For taking this as a real item and being very thorough. They went through every camera and everything so that, one, they can't get sued for some off-the-wall thing that they ignored, and two, with all of the evidence laid out, nobody can say the Chicago police didn't do their job.
True.
So they did a good CYA on it. And like you said, Alex, with that CYA, it'd be good for Smollett to be paying for it.
Yeah.
I don't think he should go to jail. I think he should have the financial responsibility.
Listen, I don't think going to jail is even needed here. This guy is no longer in show business. Okay?
He needs to go to jail.
That's the best thing that ever happened to that show.
He needs to go to jail.
Have you ever watched the show, Phil?
No.
Then how do you know that's the best thing that ever happened to the show?
I understood that the show's plot lines had been getting skinnier and skinnier, and that it was probably coming to the end of the line. And with all this publicity, it is what I said was it's probably the best thing that ever happened for that show because it will get additional viewers.
No, if you have, a felony is like $1,500. If you have 12 detectives who have been pulled off the force for a while, you are in a felony. You go to jail, and he's facing 3 to 20 years. He should get 3 years. He should get probation, and he should go to jail.
No. Let me ask Charles. Hold on a second. Let me, Charlie. Do you ever watch Empire? I know that's kind of a racist question.
First 2 shows
huh?
I watched the first 2 shows and decided it wasn't my kind of show.
Yeah, but what do you think of this situation as a?
I hadn't heard all this. Last I heard, the police were saying there was nothing that they saw that indicated that he faked it. That was over the weekend.
Now they've now the guys that they arrested, who supposedly were in on it, said that it was all a hoax. That in fact they had rehearsed the whole thing and they explained it, and
I hadn't heard that.
And the police have decided now to charge Jesse Smollett with what's the word? Fake
police report and mail fraud.
They released those guys.
Huh?
They released them.
They released
the 2 guys.
Yeah.
One of the guys was an extra on that show.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That they had
and the other guy, I think, is his trainer.
Here was the point. Here was the point at which I realized that it probably was a phony, is when they said that these guys they had arrested, one of them was an extra on Empire. Where do they shoot Empire?
I don't know.
L.A.
Yeah.
L.A. What were they doing in Chicago?
Yeah, that is true.
And I said to myself, they went out there to do whatever this was. Okay.
Maybe they were originally from Chicago, because one of them was Smollett's personal trainer, and they're brothers, and one of them was an extra on the show. So maybe they were friends of Smollett.
All I'm saying is, my question was, it's a long way from L.A. to Chicago. What were they doing on a break from the show going to Chicago? It was obviously to be with Smollett.
Yeah.
Yes, Patrick.
The other thing that I had heard was one of the guys, when I guess they went into the apartments of the 2 guys that they arrested, and found evidence of that letter that Smollett supposedly gotten with all of the letters cut out from the magazine.
They had the magazines with the letters cut out of it already. Yeah.
So I mean,
holy shit, he's got a lot of time on his hands.
Yeah. Well, this is supposedly the motive here.
Yeah.
Was that he had written a letter, I think, to Fox complaining about something about race or something, and he'd been completely ignored, and so he wanted to do something to make them pay attention.
Just be a better criminal.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do something like that, don't be so fucking dumb about it. To begin with, you've got a career. Why fuck it up by doing something like this? It's just stupid.
It makes no sense. He's just not bright.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, it's like, even the cops, like, this guy, he has to be a schmo.
I can't see.
Are they going to recast his part or no?
Who knows what they're going to do?
He didn't have a very big part, I understand.
A white guy?
I don't think he had a very big
part. No, he had a fairly big part. He performed on the show. He did songs and things like that, and he was the son of the family, and he appeared on almost every episode in one way or another. No, he did not have a small part.
Alex?
Yeah.
You think the news will go crazy if they recast him with a white guy? Holy shit! We better string him up.
Well, I just
a white guy in blackface.
It's amazing how all the people that defended him in tweets and said what an outrage this was in tweets, they've all of a sudden gone into radio silence. They're
planning to beat him up for real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. If you really look at it, it's he probably didn't realize the magnitude of what the problem was. Mm-hmm. So on that case, I almost don't want to prosecute him. But when you look at the money that it costs, when you look at the resources, when you look at all this other stuff, it becomes kind of a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. It does become a big deal. Yes, Patrick.
Kind of like a wall.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I don't know if everybody on here saw those two Nigerian guys. If they wanted to beat somebody up, they could have beaten that guy to. I mean, were ripped, and no way that little scratch he had on his face.
That's my point. He was not beat up.
I like that one guy's abs. I want that one guy's abs. That guy.
Do you think that they were related to that Nigerian prince that's always sending everybody an
Probably,
email trying to give away $100 billion?
It says here, Empire actor Jussie Smollett, who reported to be a victim, blah, 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 may have staged the attack because he was upset at the lukewarm reaction to a racist letter that was sent to the show's studio the previous week. He said that when the letter didn't get enough attention, he concocted the staged attack. The letter, which was received January 22nd at Chicago's CineSpace Studios, targeted Smollett with racial and homophobic threats, the report notes. The letter, which contained a white powder and prompted a hazmat response, is being investigated by the FBI. By the way, it reportedly turned out to be aspirin.
I think Smollett probably sent the letter.
Yes, he did. The blockbuster revelation into this, at least part of Smollett's potential motive, comes 2 days after CBS Charlie DeMar reported Smollett and two brothers, Ola and Abel Usundaro, staged the attack. DeMar spoke on the phone exclusively with the brothers Monday afternoon. In a joint statement, they said, "We are not racist, we are not homophobic, and by the way, we are not anti-Trump." Well, I say hang them then. We were born and raised in Chicago and American citizens. They're not Nigerians, as is previously reported. So,
with a last name like Osumbaro?
They're
not Irish either.
Did you pronounce it correctly? Maybe you did. I didn't.
I don't know.
Wow, that was good.
Osundiro. Osundiro? Something like that.
Nah, the guy's guilty.
Well, they're not descendants of slaves. That's all.
Well, let's not say he's. Let's not rush to judgment and say he's guilty. He needs to be tried first. But it sure looks. It looked to me to be stinky from the beginning, and I said it here on this program. But I was careful in the way in which I said it. I said something just doesn't smell right. Didn't I say that, Rob?
Yeah, you said.
Do you remember me saying it? Yeah. Okay. Because
I was here when you said it. I remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the first time I knew there was any question is when you said that. I thought there was no question.
Well, I figured he did it for political reasons, that he wanted to make a political point because he's very much, pro-gay rights and pro-black and all of that. And I figured maybe he was doing it to make a point.
Sure.
But that it certainly didn't pass the smell test for being an actual attack. That little sissy cut he had on his face, I mean, he could have done that with a ring.
He didn't take his watch, wallet, or his sandwich. He had a sandwich.
Did he have a sandwich?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a sandwich.
And the whole attack was outside the field of the camera.
Well, it was supposed to be within the field of the camera so they could then... Huh?
Did he even lose a tooth or anything? A chipped tooth?
Oh, no, nothing, Well, by the way, I want to mention, I've been meaning to mention this all night, Ray Renati's T-shirt, which I love. He's an actor. And his shirt reads,
the green thing
show him the shirt. Stand up like you are when you're, there we go. Call my agent.
Ah. Very nice.
There he is, folks.
You still have an agent?
It needs a phone number, though.
Yeah.
Let me get my phone.
Do you have an agent, Ray?
I do. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Look talent. What's her name? Joan Spangler.
Joan Spangler. I know Joan Spangler. Yeah.
Yeah. I figured you would.
Yeah.
She's my agent. She just sent me on a movie audition last week. I don't think I got the part, but.
What was the move?
I heard that interview that the Irish guy did with you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was excellent. Excellent.
He's great.
Ray, you know what you should. Ray, you know what you should. Oh, Ray, you know what you should do?
What?
Stage an attack.
Just get the cameras. Doesn't work. Doesn't usually work out well.
You get an Indian, a black guy, and a Spanish guy, so you get the whole thing together.
I'll beat up some people for you.
Pretty good then.
Yeah, okay. Good.
A white guy.
Maybe two of you guys can fly out here and beat me up.
You know,
if I can beat up some Bernie Sanders people, I'll do it.
Oh, by the way, let me just say something quickly so I go on the record on this one. Yeah. Fuck Bernie Sanders. No, really. I mean, come on, Bernie, you had your shot. Don't you understand the reason you had a good shot then was because you were only up against two other people, and one of them dropped out. And so it was you and Hillary, but now it's you and all of Western civilization who's running for the presidency on the Democratic
none
ticket.
of them are any good. They're just as bad as all the other Republicans
and you
ran
know,
against Trump.
we had enough Bernie. Okay, I think that some of these Democrats are far more liberal in many ways than Bernie is.
You don't want a socialist?
I think it's going to be Klobuchar.
Klobuchar she certainly looks good at this point. Yes, Patrick.
I think she's more exciting, and she's more centrist. I think she's gonna be the one.
She could have a good
She
shot.
knows how to beat her staff.
Who's that?
Well,
Yeah.
when she beats her staff, they only complain.
Yeah. Anyway, Patrick had his hand up. Yes, Patrick.
But that's
Let Patrick talk, please. Yes, Patrick.
What would you do, Alex, if Gillibrand was there?
She is in. She's in with that group, and so far as I'm concerned, that cunt can take a long walk off a short pier because of what she did to Al Franken.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, and she did that for political purposes. She knew
Al Franken was screwed.
Yeah, he was screwed, and screwed by Gillibrand, who was doing it completely for political purposes, knowing that she was thinking of running for president.
He should not have been catapulted out.
I was disappointed in him for cutting out that early. I
don't know what do you think. Why do you think that he did that?
I think there was part of him. He had a successful career before he ever ran for the Senate.
He's a comedian.
Yeah, and he was a writer, and he'd had some books that sold very well and so on. He didn't need the job. Okay? And I think when this whole thing hit, his whole attitude was, what the fuck do I need this for?
He should have stayed in for just, I wanted him to stay in, not because I'm a fan of his, but because I thought he got railroaded.
And I also think that, I felt that in the case, Ray Renati, we just lost him again. I think that part of the problem was also that Gillibrand was a good case of the Democrats eating their own, and there was something very wrong with that. And beyond that, I don't know what to say about it.
All right,
except
Alex, rank the candidates real quick before you go.
I can't even begin to rank them. I don't know who they all are at this point.
Come on, man.
Free Wednesday.
Okay, Kamala Harris, because I think she's hot. Okay, how's that?
So.
Huh?
She's hot.
Yeah. And if OAC could run, I'd run for her in a second if we could find some. Yeah. Well, anyway, she's wonderful. They're all wonderful. I think they're terrific. But I don't think Biden should run, and I don't think Bernie should run. Biden will be 78 years old if he runs in 2020. Come on.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
I think it's Kamala and Klobuchar. And
Yeah. Hey, listen, I gotta go because we've run out of time here. Thanks, Phil. Won't see you tomorrow night. Okay, Jeff, thank you so much. Tony, thank you. Thank you, Ray Renati. Thank you, Rob Alfano. Charlie Wallace, always great to have you here. SG, nice to have you here. And Patrick Blazik, nice to have you here. Hey, all of you, why don't you give everybody a good wave goodbye, and I'll wave back at you, okay? There they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel for tonight. Let me hang up on them so that Jack Bishop can use the phones next for the intersection, which follows immediately over most of the same Gabnet. I'm Alex Bennett. I'll see you again. Let's see here. Tomorrow night, same time. 10 o'clock. No Damien again tomorrow night. 10 o'clock, same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye.